Dear Final Fantasy XVI, I finished you in early January and have since moved on to other games, but something odd is going on. I've since played the Demon Souls remake, Persona 3 Reload, and now I'm starting to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in heavy anticipation for Unicorn Overlord. But despite all of this, I can't get you out of my mind. Every single little thing I do reminds me of you and your fantastic story. The tale of Valistia has pulled me, and frankly, I can't wait for the next project from Creative Business Unit 3. Now, I still haven't played Final Fantasy XIV, and I doubt I will. Subscription services aren't my forte. But still, you have my trust. After all, you had a wonderful development team. You had the folks behind 14, many vets from the Ivalice games, which are my favorite Final Fantasy games, and you also had a lot of help from Platinum Games, which led to your fantastic combat system. Your combat system is so satisfying to get down. The combinations of iconic skills and feats is so fun to experiment with, and I love seeing other people's setups. Plus, this system has led to some of my favorite boss fights I've ever had the pleasure of fighting. However, I do have some complaints, Final Fantasy XVI. And I'm sorry, but know this comes from a place of love, not of hate. For the first real step outside of MMOs, your development team did well. But next time, they definitely need to do better. Your MMO DNA is showing up a bit too much. The dialogue of your side quests is written quite well, but the quantity of quests when they show up, and the fact that there are only two types of side quests, fetch quest and go kill those guys quests, it makes me understand why most people got bored with you. Also, exploration. Your areas are big and detailed, and there's a lot of towns, but outside of side quests and fighting enemies, there's not much to do. I have 15 hours in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth already, and I've barely done any story content because there's just so much to do in the world. Also, getting around is such a hassle considering it takes so long to get a chocobo. Just make it so that quest is available earlier in the game, please. Again, Rebirth did it well. Getting a chocobo is the first thing you do after the opening sequence. Also, the environments aren't that distinct. Your 4 zones consist of 3 grasslands and a desert, and I just want some more visual variation. Maybe take after Xenoblade for environment ideas. Or you could take after Final Fantasy XII, considering you have vets from that game working on you. Also, I love all of your characters, especially Clive. He's one of the best protagonists of any media ever. He's so likable, his journey is so compelling, I love him, I want to be like him. But I don't like Jill. She's the main love interest, she's an icon, she has some dark past, and I don't care. She mostly just stands next to Clive and just nods along. Every other character feels so alive and has so much charisma. Except Jill. People who are huge on shipping Clive and Jill are mostly doing it because they like Clive. I also hear a lot of people saying your story is generic, and I'm inclined to agree, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. You were released in a time where Final Fantasy is messy, complicated, and overwhelming. But sometimes we just need a simple story. And while I think your story has very cliché plot beats, I think you do those clichés better than any other generic story. I also appreciate your immature rating. Although it was a little front-loaded towards the beginning of the game, I understand it was just to rope in a new audience. I admire the tasteful use of blood, cussing, and tasteful nudity. Also, I'm glad you brought back the hunt system, but I wish they were more like hunts from 12. I don't know if this is how they are in 14, but I hope it's not. I enjoy the world building you get from hunting in 12, while in 16 it's mostly just for the fun combat. Oh, but you got the music spot on. Best game soundtrack of 2023, without a doubt. But I think I've rambled on long enough. I've yet to play your DLC, but I look forward to playing it when I do. I love Valistia and the people in it, and I can't wait for what's next. Thank you for the wonderful game and memories, and for making me feel justified in my purchase of a PS5. Sincerely, jELeeoo.